Hi guys, it's Joe here from Rufio. With all the excitement of having A back to 3 now that, thank fuck, Firewall is gone, we can now play ABCs again, right? Which is fun. It's a great rogue deck. It always sneaks one or two into like the bigger events and things like that. Like, it's never going to be the best deck. I do feel it's been power crept a little, but we can certainly try and make the best we can of it. I understand that a lot of people out there looking for the profiles for this will be looking for budget versions. Absolutely, we're going to try and talk to you about some of your budget options on the way through. I don't have a full budget profile. This is a, sort of the best that I feel that I can get it to. I have been looking at some of the other profiles, other YouTubers and stuff have been posting up online, things like that. I think really the best person to ask, in all honesty, and don't get me wrong, it is a lot about the pilot, is a guy like Calvin Tahan. He's always doing really, really well with them. It's definitely his deck. It's like, he is to ABC what Tom Rose is to BA. So certainly go check out what he's doing. I suspect he'll probably be piloting it again now in the new format. I don't know what he was piloting recently, but certainly he'll be taking it to bigger events. They'll be worth looking out for. So yeah, as I say, I'll talk to you about some of your budget options on the way through, but we won't mess around too much more. So I will start with the obligatory 3A, 3B, and 3C. Some builds will run less than 3 of each. I feel that you just want to max out your consistency with this, really. The deck, that's where it sort of does struggle. It can kind of brick a bit, and so I think just having that consistency to have all of these, really, really works well. And of course, you just want to make sure you see them. I'm running the gadgets in my build. Running 3 gold, 3 silver. Again, I think that these are absolutely awesome. They just float really well. They can make you, quickly link climb and things like that. They kind of give you that added advantage, and it just gives you an additional thing that you can normal summon and just make sort of use of. So yeah, I think 3 of each of these is absolutely fine. Some people will cut it down to 2. Some people don't play them at all. I feel that 3 of each is absolutely perfect. That's if your actual real sort of main monsters. We do have 3 Ash Blossom in here as well. I was running more hand traps in my previous builds, but there was an interesting choice I saw in one of the deck profiles that I really felt like should be explored, and I think, in fact, shout out, it's Kali Effect, I'm pretty sure that I saw it on to run the Brilliant Fusion engine, and I think he's really onto something there, so credit where credit's due, that's his idea, and so with the result of that, we don't really have as much space as we would like. The main deck is very, very tight. In fact, every part of this deck is really tight. It's quite hard to do. To get your ratios just right. So I think 3 Ash is fine. It is the best hand trap that there is. It hits the most things. If you look at into the stats of how many cards in the game this hits, it's absolutely ridiculous. So I think it's the best one. You can up those, maybe cut a couple of the gadgets and put in others like Drolls or something like that. Ghost Spell's also really strong in this format. We're also playing them on Garnet, which means obviously you're inevitably going to open this in every single one of your hands. But you need to play it for the Brilliant Fusion engine, so 1 Garnet's there, and we do have some ways in this to sort of get rid of this if it's sort of sat here, so that's that. That's it for your all your monsters. We move on to spells. Absolutely, you have to play 3 of this, no doubt about it. 3 Union Hanger. This is obviously going to get you through your deck. It's going to search your cards. It does everything. It's one of the best field spells I think out there for any particular archetype. It's absolutely awesome, and yeah, you absolutely must run it at 3. We've got 2 Terraforming because it's a 2. If it was a 3, we'd have a 3rd. 2 is perfect. I'm sure I don't really need to elaborate on that much more. We then have 3 Brilliant Fusion. Lucky I managed to pick these up today so I can bring you this full profile today. I'm really, really pleased about that. So yeah, 3 Brilliant Fusion. These are a little bit pricier than they would normally be. You don't have to run this engine. The 3 Brilliant Fusions on their own, they're like maybe in British pounds, they're like £6 each. That's for the secret ones. The supers, I think they are. That's the other rarity a little bit more. And then, of course, ultis are just stupid. They're seeing some play in Thunder Dragons, so they are spiking a little bit. I do think it's a really good engine to include as sort of something you can use. We've got Card Destruction. I think being able to chuck pieces in the grave and then draw in. And like I say, you've got some issues with consistency, so if you've got a kind of bricky hand, this is a good way to refresh it. There are some decks out there that this will hurt by doing it to, although just be aware that most meta decks will benefit from being able to redraw their hand. So when you're using this, you've got to think about what possible benefits there are for your opponent as well. We've got one Soul Charge. I think ideally in this deck you want to be going first and sort of set up a board that makes it really difficult for your opponent to out. And Soul Charge is kind of a must-have card in there. I think it's one of those ones that you kind of want to side out after game one because you don't really want to go into time. I mean, if you have two really quick games, then you can kind of keep it. But I think going first, this is definitely something you would use then. It's definitely not really a going second card. So if you did want to chop up your build, you would drop this. But I think Soul Charge on its own is just absolutely broken. And like they say, you know, the only life points that matter are the ones that get you to 0. So anything above that's absolutely fine to pay if it's going to win. We've got one Reborn. Reborn's a very strong card, as you all know. I'm sure I don't need to elaborate beyond that. We've got one Foolish Burial. Just get the additional piece into the grave, and then you can go off from there. This card's absolutely awesome. We are running triple Call by the Grave. This deck is kind of slow and can be a little bit bricky. And so one of the things you have to think about is you stopping your opponent from stopping you. I think Call by Grave being at 3... It certainly gives you more avenues to go down without having to fear your opponent, you know, cucking you basically, to put it politely. So yeah, I think 3 Call by the Grave is absolutely perfect. I probably wouldn't recommend running less than that. In terms of our trap lineup, because that's it for spells, I'm running some of the Solemns. I'm running Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike. This was at 2. I had 2 more draws and a couple of other bits and bobs. So we could run more of those. I took them out for Brilliant Fusion, just to sort of clarify that. I think these three is fine. Again, you do have to bear in mind that time is a real big issue now for life points, so these probably want to get sided out. Maybe side in an additional, because we've got 2 TTs, maybe side in another one of these. And then finally, Skill Drain. Again, these are cards that you want to kind of side out. This is up to you. Again, how much it hurts the deck that you're playing against is something to consider. Paying 1,000 life points is something that you have to think about. But being able to activate Buster under this to send him and then get the other pieces back is pretty cool, because you can play under that if you weren't aware already, although I'm sure you are. And if you're looking at ABC profiles, that is something you should absolutely think about. That is it for the main deck. There were more Solemns, like I said. Originally, there was another 2 strikes in there, but I think that's absolutely fine. Like I say, there are a lot of changes you can make to the main deck depending on how you want to play the deck. You can cheap it out. If you've got more hand traps, you can use those instead of the Brilliant Fusion engine. I think I was running Upstart before, although one Upstart is about the price of one Brilliant Fusion anyway, so in that respect, it makes no real difference. You could run more back row removal as well if you're kind of scared about that, or other draw cards, but I think that's absolutely okay as it is. There's no side deck for this profile, I'm afraid. Again, I feel they're very sort of meta dependent and that kind of thing. So, and as it hasn't really developed, I wouldn't want to speculate about what the best options are for it. So, into the extra deck. So, I'm running the Tsukiyomi. I think the benefit of being able to dump pieces and then just draw is really, really nice. It's really easy to make. Again, it's going to set up your Buster plays. And yeah, you know, like I say, it's easy to make. It's got a reasonably decent defense. So if nothing else, turn 1, and you kind of, if you open badly, you can at least use this and regenerate your hand and kind of go from there. Onto fusions, you have to run Gemini Seraphonite for the Brilliant Fusion engine. As you already know, 1 extra normal summon is absolutely nuts. This is great. The reason we're all playing this deck, right? 3 ABC Dragon Buster. This card still holds as one of the best boss monsters in the game. Truly, I believe that. I think the other parts of the deck are kind of what slows it down a little bit, and that's why we're trying to optimize ways to sort of get us there, because this card is just nuts. I played against ABC twice today with my Burning Abyss, and this card is still really problematic. I beat him 2-1 both times. I do think that BA is just, you know, but it's whatever. I won't talk about BA. That's for another video. But ABC Dragon Buster is still up there, I think, with the better ones, along with like Ultimate Conductor and that kind of thing. So maxing out on these is ideal. You can cut this to 2, depending on preference. But I think being able to get to 3 of them, if you can get through them, sometimes it comes up. Absolutely, you should if the option is available to you. Onto links. So we've got 1 Underclock. Again, you know, being able to suck down something's attacked by 3,000 and just hit is nice. Having another zone to summon to is also great. We've got one Cleave Genius. It's easy to make in this deck. Again, being able to suck the effects out of a card is quite nice. And again, it gives you those. It's got really good arrows, as you already know, so it's quite easy to make use of. We've got one Hit Potion again. This card just looks awesome. Look at these fucking boots. Yeah, just being able to boost your lights attacks, and then, you know, just being able to add something back from grave is always quite nice to use. And again, the arrows on those are perfect. Originally, I was running more Nightmares. I've just gone with these two. I think being able to pop back row is really handy. I don't think Cerberus comes up as much in this deck because you've already got quite a bit of monster removal in terms of like your torrentials, that kind of thing. Obviously, Buster himself does a lot of removal, and like Unicorn, I think between everything, monsters are usually less of your problem. So the back row destruction is kind of handy. We've got one Skull Dread. Being able to regenerate your hand again is absolutely awesome. That's all there really is to it. And again, obviously those 3 zones is really, really handy. The additional summons, that kind of thing. This card's just great. It really works well with this deck. Our recently arrived Summon Sorceress. Thank you, Konami, for finally sorting your fucking lives out and giving us Summon Sorceress. Thank God jump promo is no longer a thing. I'm sure the American viewers out there will be less enthused, but you know what? Fuck that. We don't need two different formats in one, you know, play area. Having a North American format and a European format is stupid. This card, I'm not really happy it's here, but you know what? It does bits for this deck and it does a lot for other road decks. The only problem is it also boosts the meta decks by that as much as well. However, very good card for this deck. Regardless, you should absolutely run it, and it is super cheap now. Of course, unless you want the Ultras, which cost a bit more, but that's whatever. That's a story for another day. We've got one Decode Talker. Again, the arrows on this are perfect. It's easy to make. It's a big beater, and it offers protection, so what is not to like? And then the last 2 cards, we've got Borrow Load. Steal their Borrow Sword and win. Steal any of their good stuff and win. And then Borrow Sword, the win button. Nothing much else to say about this card. It's absolutely nuts. If you can make it, you absolutely should. Climb up there, you can just win a game. You steal games with this card. There's no question of that. You absolutely should run it. Now that is it for the actual deck. In terms of your budget options, you can definitely run probably another Hit Potion again's another option. You can run other Nightmares in here. Yeah, there's plenty you can use. There isn't really a super replacement for this. You can go with the Utopia package. I think Borrow Load is reasonably cheap now for what it is, for what it does. It's very, very meta relevant. However, you may want to, you know, use something different. Decode's cheap, Summon Sorceress is cheap, Skull Dread, again, you could probably run another Tsukiyomi if you're really concerned about that, however, it doesn't quite have the same benefit. Unicorn, I think, is one of those cards that, again, there really isn't a good replacement for it. There are some rank 4 toolbox stuff out there that you could use to do similar jobs, or just other good toolbox options like Baguska, like Castell, like Tornado Dragon for just the extra back row removal, that kind of thing. Nightmare Phoenix, again, you could, you know, this is cheap anyway, but you could run Tornado Dragon. Hip Potioning and it's buttons. If you can't afford this, you probably shouldn't play this game. Cleave Genius, it gives the suck, to be quite honest with you. This is cheap. You should be, again, this is really easy to come across. It's not hard to get at all. If you did want to bump this for something a bit stronger, actually, you could also go for Nightmare Griffin. They're quite cheap now. The prices are rising, so if you do want to pick one of those up, it would be a good idea. Undercock, I think, undisputed for the value for money. This is absolutely worth playing. ABC Dragon Buster, you shouldn't want to take those out. Seraphonite, again, you know, those toolbox options I mentioned earlier. If we had Nightmare Goblin, we'd be running that instead, but we have what we have. And then Tsukiyomi, again, it's not an expensive card. It does its job. It's easy to make. I don't think there's many replacements that would really do the same sort of job. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully it's given you some more ideas about what you should play. If you think there's any choices I made that are bad, sure, just mention them, not a problem, in the comments. Yeah, thanks for watching. Big shout out to Mark and Manascrew, as always, for letting me record in this space. He's sat outside this room at the moment, here late at night like he always does, looking after his store. Yeah, big shout out to him for giving me the space to record this. Yeah, and don't forget to check out the links in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, all of that exciting stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm afraid that's all we have time for in this video. If by chance you haven't had enough of listening to me waffle at you through a video about a children's card game, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are on the screen, or if you're feeling really lazy, you can click the links in the description. While you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content too. It'll make me smile, I promise. And who can ask for more than that? Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.